Hi everyone. So, as he explained, I'm a certified enterprise coach, very proud of being part of this program. And I'm now part of Agile, which is a consultancy firm. We help companies enjoying their Mondays, is what we do. We want people enjoying their Mondays. I'm also a Management 3.0 facilitator, Management 3.0 license trainer. And I enjoy helping people understanding how to create environments to become better companies, to be happier on their Mondays. This is what we do in Management 3.0, as we do also in Happy Melly. Then, let me tell you a couple of stories. First story is about me a couple of weeks ago. I was delivering a Management 3.0 training to these middle management guys, explaining about how awesome it is to work on motivation, on creating structures, on doing this agile thing. And they were really excited about that. They were like, wow, we have to do that. But before, you have to go and tell my manager to do that. Have you ever heard that answer? Yeah, so from a coaching point of view, that's interesting. Of course, it's always easier that somebody else changes before they do. So I don't have to take responsibility for that. It's much easier. From a scientific point of view, we know it's not a good idea, right? We all know this. This is the diffusion of innovation curve, right? We know that we're going to have some innovators. We're going to have an early majority, we're going to have an late majority, we're going to have some laggards, right? And with that question, we're providing a huge assumption, and a very risky assumption. That is, if we tell our managers, this is the way to go, they're going to become innovators, right? So sadly, you don't know where the innovators are going to be in your organization, right? You wish all the innovators will be part of the top management committee. You might have some there, or you might not, right? That's an assumption. So something that we learn as a scientist is that if you have an assumption, you have to give it a try before to understand if it's right or if it's wrong, right? Not just think that your hypothesis is going to be true always. Okay, so this is a really cool guy. This bald guy, he really knows about Agile. So he might explain this stuff to my top management. They're going to believe him, and my life is going to be easier. They will run the change. I would just enjoy being part of the change. Sounds good. And then unicorns fly in the company, right? Well, that's not very likely to happen, right? And that's something that now we all know. But how about back when I started my first big transformation? I will tell you another story about this. So this was in 2010 when this big bank called ING hired me. That's me, with a tie, right, in the bank. How cool. They hired me to help them changing. They didn't know what kind of change, but just changing, just evolving. Actually, one thing that I learned is that organizations are continuously changing, right? So these transformation initiatives are to me like this. You remember these icons in the early 1980s, 1990s, with these websites that were work in progress. Remember that? So were these web pages with the work in progress icon. Of course, now we never see those icons anymore. Why? Because we understand that websites are always work in progress, right? As organizations are always changing, right? We now know this. But whatever, they hired me to run these transformation initiatives because it sounds really cool, and they asked me for some plans, I was just delivering fake plans because I didn't know how the transformation initiative would go, right? But you have to give them something, right? You know that it's really difficult to understand that you don't know how the outcome is going to be. You don't know how the transformation is going to be. You don't know anything, right? It's just a set of experiments. We already know that. We know the connecting framework. We know that the transformation is not here. It's not obvious. It's not simple. It's something that you don't know how it's going to be. So you will just know the cause once you experience the effect, right? So you have to go backwards and understand, oh, so this happened now because I did that before. It's not the other way around. It's not that you choose what to do and then you choose the effect that you're going to see, right? That's why we understand that experiments is the way to go when transforming an organization, or when including changes in your organization, when changing things in your organization. And as Andrea explained to us before, we already know that. So every transformation is a tailor-made initiative from that particular customer, that particular situation, in that particular moment, right? So objectivity and coevolution. We know that now. Well, luckily, the transformation initiative in ING Spain worked really good. So they wanted me to deploy that initiative in all INGs. Just go and help other INGs becoming agile, as you're doing in ING Spain. So just copy and paste. And I was like, okay, it's not very likely to happen. But maybe I can use this experimentation mindset to help other organizations running their experiments, because I've been doing experiments before. So maybe I can reuse some learnings, not the practices, but the learnings. Maybe it would be a good idea. So this is now about, scaling the change. It's about deploying the change. It's about deploying the knowledge that I got in ING Spain. The question is, can we do that? Is that possible? Well, I think we're doing that already in communities, right? We're already doing that here. Maybe some of you are already running transformation or changing things in your organizations. And you can reuse that knowledge. So you can share that knowledge and tell it to your fellows, agile leaders, agile coaches, scrum masters, agile champions. Okay, I'm running these experiments. And in this environment, in this situation, in my environment, it's working. Maybe you can give it a try in your environment, right? That's about sharing your knowledge. And that's, therefore, scaling the change. So I was trying to do so, to create an internal community of agile champions and agile coaches within ING in the 16 countries that I was working for. And using a specific technique that I will explain you about later on in this presentation. And in 2012, after 1.5 years or 2 years already trying this technique that I'm going to show you later, I met this guy. His name is Jason Little. And I was presenting in a conference in Tallinn this model here. So it's just the same presentation that you're going to be seeing very shortly. And he was like, oh man, we're doing the same stuff. So we're doing this experimentation things to lead change. We were like, what? So you're from Canada, I'm from Spain, we don't know each other, and we're doing the same thing? This is a coincidence? Should we get married or something? Or maybe it makes sense. Maybe this is the way to go, right? We're in a complex environment, trying to solve complex problems. Experimentation is the way to go. So this is what I was doing, right? It's basically the same stuff. It's about experimenting, right? The build, measure, learn cycle. Actually, we both started calling it lean startup for change. But we understood that it's not actually lean startup. It's just Experimentation. It's about validating your assumptions, right? We do that with products, we do that with companies, and we do that with change. So it doesn't make any sense anymore to call it lean startup, right? It's just lean change. So practically, how did I do that? What is this presentation that I was sharing in that conference in Tallinn, Estonia? So it's about using this very simple technique, this very simple tool, in order to share in a very easy and lightweight way my learnings, right? So how many of you know this tool here that is called A3 problem solving? Not many? That's cool, so maybe we can learn more things, right? So this is a technique that Toyota invented a long time ago, just to see on an A3 piece of paper a whole initiative, a whole improvement initiative, right? It basically has this structure. So you have the current situation, right? Hopefully you describe it in a very brief, with a very brief phrase, because of course, this A3 thing is not just to create a 280 page document and use font 1 so it can fit in an A3, right? It's about being brief, right? It's about choosing the right information. So you describe the current situation and you sketch it. You describe the future situation and you sketch it. And you try to understand why you are not there. This is the root cause. You do a root cause analysis and they find countermeasures. So what you're gonna do to make that different and be closer to the desired environment, to the desired situation. And then you gather some metrics that are going to tell you if this initiative is the right way to go or the wrong way to go, right? If it works, so you want to do more of that, or if it didn't work, so you have to pivot and do something else. Okay, so this is A3, and it's a very easy and lightweight way to share your initiative and to draw with your colleagues. You can do that in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and explain what you're doing. It's basically putting on an A3 piece of paper the Deming Cycle, the plan, do, check, act, right? So we do some planning, we decide what to do, verify if it works, and then decide what to do afterwards, right? You will be seeing around like many formats for this same technique, from this same structure. You can create your own, as long as you do plan, do, check, act within the same piece of paper, right? A second technique that I use is this journey, this Agile Journey map, right? Why do I use this? And for this, for you to understand this technique and why this is important, I need you to help me. I need you to stand up for a second. You're not going to cross your arms, so no problem. Okay, so please close your eyes again. Close your eyes. Now I'm going to pick your pocket. No. Close your eyes, and use your index finger without opening your eyes to point to the north. Close your eyes, point to the north, point to the north. Just guess, north. Okay? Right. So now just open your eyes and look around you. So where is the north? Somebody pointed in the north there? In the sky? Okay, you can sit down now. So I use this exercise very often with teams for them to understand what is it like coaching a team, right? We all understand the goal, we just have different perspective of the same goal. That's normal, right? Because the goal is first happening outside, but it's being understood inside. So it becomes subjective. That's why it's really difficult to align people, right? Because you have to get them sharing what is the goal for them. You have to share it once and twice and 3 times, 4 times, 7 times, and then with time you come to the same conclusion, and you hopefully find where the north is, right? So if you have a team and you want to share your initiative, you first need to share your context, right? Because if you tell them, okay, in my organization, we are doing some trainings, they're going to say, okay, North is there, so this is the result of trainings, right? But trainings can have different results in different moments in the same organization, in different cultures, different environments, different backgrounds will lead to different results. So the technique that is used is to explain how was my journey as part of a transformation. How was the journey in my organization, right? Like we started here, for example, something really bad happened, but now we got a good result with this training. But after the training, people understood it wrong, and then we hired a coach, for example, and it was going great. Everybody was really excited until they got bored and they started doing cargo cult implementation. Now we're here. And I hope this initiative that I'm going to draw you later on my A3 piece of paper is going to drive me here, right? Okay, so second tool, just giving a context, sharing the context before sharing the initiative, before co-creating the initiative. Because to scale the knowledge sharing, it's important to co-create your next experiment, right? It's not about you creating your experiment, your own, and then sharing it with your colleagues, with your fellows in the community. The power that I found in this way of working is that you create your experiments together with your colleagues, right? So like, I'm gonna try this. Oh, wait. I tried something similar, and providing your context, I would change this small thing here, this small thing here. So I can take advantage of their experiences. And the experiments are more likely to success, right? To succeed. That's what we want to get out of this way of working. So how does it work? Very easily. First of all, you form a team. You create a small community, right? If you work for a multinational organization, what you do is you get people from different parts of different countries. Sorry, you get people from different countries. If you're running a transformation on a big organization that is in the same country, you need people from different parts of the organization. If you're part of a community, you need people from different organizations of this community, right? I work for IBM, I work for Google, I work for whatever. So, okay, let's get together and let's co-create our hypothesis, right? So we will get much more information, something great. So first, we create a team. Step one, we share our context, right? Just to point to the proper north. So we share how is this initiative going in my environment. So we're doing this worked, we're doing this didn't work. We got this problem here, many people got fired because of this really bad project, and now we are facing this situation here. I want to take this next step. This is my next step. Practical example, here you can see one, right? This is just a storytelling exercise. This is how I describe my Agile Journey in ING Spain. So the red things were things that it did, were bad ideas, right? The green, things that it worked, that were good ideas, right? So I was sharing what happening there in my organization. And here we have the timing, right? So the years, okay? And that's my vision of the spread, of the impact, positive impact, negative impact, amount of impact created, okay? So this storytelling exercise helped me pointing to the right north with my fellows of different business units of ING, okay? Third step, co-creating your next experiment. We gathered together, we created different A3 problem-solving sheets for every business unit. So, okay, let's co-create the experiments, and let's create an experiment for ING France, for ING Italy, for ING Turkey, for ING Poland, and from ING Spain. So we got these different A3s with different experiments. Those are our experiments. Okay, I'm gonna try this Kanban thing here. Oh, we're gonna try to reduce the work in progress at the portfolio level. Oh, we're gonna try creating different tracks. We're gonna try creating different classes of services in our Kanban boards. Or we're going to try reducing the amount of documentation that we create, right? It's about validating your riskiest assumption, right? Remember the first example? In my training, I told the people, the people there, okay, you're making too much assumption. You're assuming that you're gonna have innovators in your steering committee. You're gonna have innovators in the C level of your company. That's a risky assumption. You need an experiment for that, right? So you want your colleagues in your community to tell you so, to tell you, well, I think this, and this are risky assumption. So let's choose the riskiest assumption and let's create an experiment. Let's find the cheapest way and the less harmful, potentially harmful way to test that hypothesis, right? So in my case, for example, this is an A3 problem-solving sheet that I use to describe my initiative on how to replace many of our documents just using user stories instead. Just the card of a user story. Could we replace that? Then you give it a try, see what happened, and come back with the learnings and share that with your community. Of course, you update your journey map. Of course, you update your metrics, and you create your next hypothesis. That could be towards making bigger your current experiment or pivoting and changing and choosing a different experiment, right? So this is the sharing that happens. It's very important. You can see here people from Poland, and people from Austria, and people from France sharing, doing some storytelling to share what happened in the organization. Of course, what we do is iterate, right? We shorten the feedback loop, and we try, and we get more learning, and we get better at designing and creating hypotheses and experiments, right? Changing is about experimentation. We just need to get better at choosing the experiment and faster at implementing and getting the results. So we can create this validated learning knowledge base. It's not a box. Could be maybe a database or a wiki where we store those A3 sheets so we can go back and see what happened in the past. But it's more about creating a cloud of knowledge that is already happening here in the conference. It's already happening in every Agile community in the world. We create a validated learning knowledge base. So it's very important that we treasure and we understand the importance of that knowledge base. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about not only iterating and doing experiments towards the implementation of change, it's also about making a treasure that is this validated learning knowledge base. When you gather assumptions and you gather measures that, of course, are only valid in this specific situation, in this specific moment, in that specific context, for that specific organization, in that specific environment, with that specific coach, leader, and people. But it's still useful. So that's all. I hope you can try it at home and let me know what happened. Thank you very much. Now, questions? That's a very good question. So, metrics.
What was the question?
Okay, yeah, sorry. Can you repeat it, please? So,
how do you measure the impact from the A3 experiments that you run in your projects?
Yeah. So, it's very difficult to choose the right measurement, right? Because, and we all know that from the book Lean Startup. You can do it about vanity metrics, about things that make you look good, understanding that you, of course, are gonna have this validation bias, right? So you want to measure something, you want that to happen. So what I suggest is to use non-quantitative, but qualitative metrics, right? Just towards the experiment, toward that particular experiment. So for example, if you want to measure that particular experiment, you want to measure what is the impact of not using too much documents and instead using user stories or whatever. What you want to measure is not documentation. What we want to measure is communication, right? So maybe a good way to measure that is just doing random questions to product owners, right? And do the same questions to part of their team and see the difference in the answers, right? It's not like a very qualitative traditional KPI thing, but it's more specific experiment-ish kind of metrics. You know what I mean? Makes sense to you? Like don't reuse KPIs, right? Just choose whatever you want to see. A very easy to gather metric, 1 or 2, not more, and see what happened. Because you're going to have that confirmation bias the same, right? So don't bother too much. Don't worry too much about the metrics. You're not going to be perfect on your metrics, okay? But focus on the outcome, right? That answer your question? Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, can you please share with us an experiment that failed? Just an example, and how did you know that it failed, and what happened next?
Okay.
Thank
you. You know that fail when you don't get the wanted outcome, right? So for example, what do you want to get out of a training? You want to get people understanding. How can you measure that people understanding a test? No, it's not what you want to get. You want to get that people getting excited about something, right? So maybe you want to, maybe. So that's maybe the thing that you want to get. You get my point? It's not about what you're used to get out of an experiment. It was I want to get. So in order to get people being excited about Agile, I wanted people to deliver a training. So they get excited and they go outside and they tell someone about this particular situation, about this particular tool, right? So what I'm going to do to validate if that is a good idea or a bad idea, I'm going to go outside of this group to their, let's say, their peers or the people hierarchically over them or below them and ask if they know or they heard something and what did they heard, right? And if they heard that Agile is about a specific process that is called Scrum, you understand that the result, the outcome is not what you want, right? It's like they went for they understood Agile as a process, and it's not a process, so it's not the outcome that I wanted. So you understand that it's fail. Maybe you have to try something else, right? Did that answer your question? Yeah, more or less. A bad example, something that I said, okay, this is a bad idea. Okay, I have a really good one. So one of the things that I tried, so I was convinced that we got too many layers, too many hierarchical levels and all that. So my hypothesis was that if I gather all the managers from these two departments, right, and I ask them what they do and what is that useful for, they came into the conclusion that there were too many hierarchical levels and they decided to destroy some of them. That's what my hypothesis makes sense. At least to me, makes sense, right? So I tried. And I gathered those people, of course, they got protected. They protected themselves, and everything was very important. They were against the initiative, right? I got too many detractors out of that initiative, out of that experiment. People were hating me, the people they hated me specifically, and Agile, right? So wrong outcome. So I got people wanted to thwart the Agile initiative, right? So metric, deciding to reduce the hierarchical levels. Outcome, people hating me. Wrong experiment. What happened afterwards? Okay, so there is another talk that is about all my journey in ING. It's online already, or we can talk later. I can explain you the whole story, what happened, but nobody tried to kill me. That's a good sign. Sorry, I'm still here. Okay. Any other question?
A short question. You mentioned that you try this for internal change inside organization. Have you experienced to apply this to regular business goals, executing regular?
Sorry.
Have you tried to apply this method A3 to normal business life, not internal change of organization, but to focus on normal goals like daily goals for business?
Okay, so you mean towards the customer, right? Yeah, of course. That's called Lean Startup. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm doing that almost every day with my customers. It's about validating your products, validating the effect of your changes in the services and the product with your final customer. Of course.
How do you define the granularity of your experiments? So, how do you define the granularity of your experiments? So the big experiments is not good enough because they are pain. So you need to iterate with small experiments.
Exactly. You answer your own question.
Yeah, no,
so it's very important. Go for the small experiment.
The question was, how do you define that this experiment is too big to try, and I need to split it into a couple of small experiments?
Yeah. Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you for that one. So we usually gather once a month, right? So we try to create experiments that we can create a measure within that month, right? It's the same stuff. We're going to have a talk about no estimations later on. Of course, I don't want to estimate experiments, but I want to have like an idea of proportion of the experiments. I want to keep it small, right? Also, when you later try to deploy it, you will deploy that experiment in small chunks, in small part of the organization, and see what happened there when you make it bigger. Very good question. Thank you very much. So, any
more questions?
Okay, I will hear around, so you want to talk to me and ask me whatever, you're free to come. So thank you again.
Please provide your feedback.